Yeah, swanky. Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here. This is the first reading I've done since I started trying to grow a mustache a couple of years ago. So we'll see if that was like the missing piece, if this awkward mustache is the X factor I really need. I'm doing a Zoom with my mum on Friday. That's going to be the first moment. She's not going to be happy. So. Okay, I'm just going to dive right in with a couple of new poems. This one is called Purge. I have this constant urge to throw up, the sponge says. It's not that I need to, I'd just like to. Really freshen up. No, it's not like that, he says at my look. I'm not going to. It's just an itch, a wish, almost a memory, you know? Well, I begin, making my words slow. That's interesting. Maybe it would be good to talk about that with someone. Oh God, forget I said anything, he groans. He's sitting in one of those little cages that sticks to the side of the sink. Just forget it. I'm classically trained, you know. At what? I ask. He snorts, gulps, and dribbles a little grey soap. I got one more in a similar vein. This one's called Plenty. The half jar of peanut butter keeps touching her own face. She's running her nails over glass, her thumb pads through lid grooves. You can still see me okay, right? She asks. Okay. I got about 15 large portions left, she continues, give or take. At an average of 2 a week, that's nearly 2 months. Plenty. It's going to be a great summer, she concludes. Though Kay is coming to stay, and he quite likes PB&Js. I smile and nod, understanding, hand on the cupboard door. She unscrews, reaches in, and starts pulling handfuls out. So this is a book, it's called The Character Actor Convention. The title comes from the fact that there's a lot of different personas and characters in the book. So it's a little different than like most poetry collections in that way. There's kind of like a carnival feel with a lot of animals and plants and objects, like you heard, all have a voice and all speaking throughout the book. Something else there's quite a lot of in the book are like a lot of the poems have little epigraphs which are inspired by usually headlines I read. I'm someone who consumes a lot of like pop science headlines on my feed. The kind of like often nonsense science articles or headlines. When you click on that headline, the article is actually like isn't really, that's not what's quite happening. But I get inspiration from those. I find headlines really interesting. It's these like little pieces of micro writing that we engage with all the time. We consume a lot of them and throw them away. So the headline that inspired this poem was "Teaching Rats to Drive Taught Scientists About Joy." And if you look this one up, there is a pretty cute video, like a little rat in the car, and he's not using his feet, but with his front paw, I guess that's still a foot, he's got a button, and he's going around the lab, like he really quite enjoys it. And it taught scientists something about joy, so there you go. It's called Sunday Drive. Guess who's drinking Pepsi now? Guess who's frequenting strip malls? Lab rats are ready. No, highly optimized for suburban living. Not a road or a street, but a strode of neural pathways, excited, expanded, pleasure-generating zones repaved for convenience and growth. Wild rats give up in minutes, but lab rats paddle for days in water-filled cylinders, believing in, beseeching human hands. Rat, your suffering's over. Rev your engines, blow a kiss. Race the raised expressway, separating us from our indifference. Yeah. This one, again, I'm kind of doing them in pairs, I guess, tonight. I didn't really think about this, but this one's quite similar. And the headline for this one was Mushroom Learns to Crawl After Being Given Robot Body. There have been other ones like this. You might have seen one that's like the mushroom but can play the piano now. Like they hook up some kind of electro system to mushrooms, and electro impulses are coursing through even a mushroom to some low extent, and they kind of then hook that up to whatever they want it to be, a piano or a, in this case, like robot legs, and then the electro impulses drive some kind of activity. And this one was pretty interesting because they found that if they shone light on the mushroom robot, it would like slowly over time edge away from the light. But this one's called The Work. Our words no longer correspond to this world. Body, robot, learns. These are shotgun signs, half leaning. Crawl one way, the other, reconfirm everybody's cursed. Ice cream doesn't even resemble itself in photos. They use mashed potatoes instead. That hurts. The dark is just dark, just mind dank. Past where purpose has electric meaning, piano wire snap. Another fine, data-full day. Yours to capture, sift, react. All is irony, says the scientist. And here's another riddled wink. Take heart, brave mushroom. It never ends until it does. Thank you. This is one of the oldest poems in the book, actually. And it is maybe one of the more confessional kind of moments in it. Like I said, most of the drive of the book is towards different personas, these weird kind of science articles as well. Like a lot of kind of, there's a slightly off the wall vibe to most of it, I guess. But this one is maybe a little more from the heart. And it's called I Swear. I swear it isn't every time my penis doesn't really work. I take a bath and read a listicle. 55 celebrities whose birth names will surprise you. And I learned Dean Martin's wasn't Dino Martino. I'm about to drop my phone in the bath. And I read too that archaeologists have excavated another slaves' room at Pompeii, which they claim offers rare insight. Rotating to landscape, I keep my hands dry with a towel on the toilet lid. It's an ash-washed, half-storage, half-bedroom, no window, pots and tight beds waiting, still alive. I turn the hot tap with my left toes. When the pyroclastic flow comes rolling down the mountain and the sky is lost, we must remember the soil will be fertile in 15 years. It's not the end of the world. Will people believe anything? I'm kneeling on the bath mat, whispering Dino Crocetti to a wet iPhone 8, like it could cause an uneruption. When I wrote that poem, it was an iPhone 6, because that's what I had at the time. And then for some reason, when editing for the book, I changed it to an iPhone 8, like in case it mattered, anyone would check what iPhone I had. And then last weekend, I got a new iPhone, an iPhone 12. So I'm getting there. I'm always a few years behind, I guess. So I'll do 3 more. One other kind of poem, which there's a few of in the book, is I think of them as like meeting poems. So they're a bit like the ones with the objects you heard earlier, but a few of these are like meeting historical and mythical figures. So this one is called Treasure. Of course, they kept all the treasure intact. I guess I'm not one. Tutankhamun laughs, like only the young can. They peeled my skull. They pulled my limbs off for science, or was it for history? They even chopped off my, he glances at me, well, you know. Yeah, They went full British Museum on my ass. Take the jewels, leave the corpse, put no cartouche on my name. But you're an icon now, a symbol of wonder, I insist. His tomb is smaller than I expected. He smiles a bit unkindly. Well, I'm glad you like my mask. You know, my father believed in only one God, even thought he knew him. Silly man. I just made myself one. Do you think it's possible to know a God? I ask, edging closer, trying to keep my breath steady. He spits out a tooth, and it clatters off a gold relief. Come on, man, he says. I'm 19. Okay, yeah, I'll do two more. As maybe you can tell, I'm not from around here. I grew up in Oxford in the UK. I moved here about 5 years ago. And yeah, I think that's all the context you need for this one. It's called Homesick. In my country, every street is paved with nettles and every document is inlaid with ants. People use the same words they always have, eroding accents with limestone tongues. The sun in my country stuns horses already impotent and heavy with horseflies. Beauty is not an ideal in my country, but a taxpayer-funded, licensed service. You may compare beauties with your neighbors, leaving comments in red suggestion boxes. Roads in my country admit single file, one way only. And if you take a wrong turn, you'll have to go around the whole landmass. In my country, every woman, man, child, and pet is personally responsible for the fate of the nation. But this is unsaid. Instead, you speak of willows among nettles and hum. It would be a mistake to ask, have you ever been to my country? Because it is not in fact a country, not exactly, but some other form of myth. Every time you're born somewhere with no choice but to leave, no choice but to carry with you, and no choice but to come back, you'll know again the sickness of loving some other home you couldn't describe while you might have. Okay, yeah, I'll close on this one. As I said, there's a lot of poems in the book from the perspective of animals. And this one, from the perspective of a songbird, but I think, it's pretty obviously about being a poet as well. But yeah, this one's called Songbird. And before I go, I should say again, thank you to Dorianne and everyone at Brockton for putting this together. And it's really awesome to be here at the new location of Glad Day. So thanks for coming out, everybody. Yeah, Songbird. Nothing worse than forgetting a good first line. No matter. Open throat, vent lilt. I've got a license to trill. The power that made me blessed me, I swear. There's no concept of quality inhibiting me now. I'm a verse of nature, hook with inherent self-singing, bridge of skies. To revisit, revise, these insecurities are empty as prizes. What's certain is voice only. There's an old songbird joke. Question, how do you tell a happy song from a sad song? Answer, I'm sorry, were you singing something? That's the problem with being naturally gifted. I pour out fresh, full of soul each morning, but so do all the others. I hope trees listen. Thanks, everybody.